YouTubers, HobbyHunter89 and the voices in my head coming at you from the Duelist Den. And today we have my June 12th format Graydle Kaiju deck profile. Now I actually just got the rest of the cards I needed to bring this deck up to where I wanted it at this past weekend while I was at a regional event. So I hope you guys enjoy this profile and let's get started. First up we run 3 Graydle Slime Juniors. Now this is the primary tuner of the deck. What it does is when it's summoned, or when it's normal summoned, you can special summon a Graydle monster from your graveyard. And then if you do this, you can also special summon a Graydle monster from your hand as long as the level matches the level of the one you summoned from your graveyard. The only downside is if you use this effect, you can only special summon Aqua type monsters for that turn, which is just fine for the way this deck is set up. Next, we have 3 Graydle Alligators, 3 Graydle Cobras, and 3 Graydle Eagles. Now the reason I'm showing all 3 of these at the same time is because they all share similar effects. And those effects are that if they are destroyed by battle, they can target a monster your opponent controls, equip themselves from their graveyard to that target, and then you take control of that target. Now they each also have a secondary effect, and that's if they are destroyed by a card effect, they can do that as well. The only difference is each one is by a different card effect. In Alligator's case, it would be spell cards. In Cobra's case, it would be traps. And in Eagle's case, it would be monster effects. So they have 2 different ways of getting their abilities off. Next up, we have 2 Graydle Slimes. Now, what Graydle Slime does is you can destroy 2 other Graydle cards you control to special summon this card from your hand or graveyard, but you can only use the effect once per turn. And if you do this, you can special summon a Graydle monster from your graveyard. So this also allows you to go into your level A synchro plays as well, just like Graydle Slime Jr. does. The only difference is Slime Jr. also allows you to go into your level 5 synchro plays as well. But ideally what you want to do is have at least Graydle Cobra or Graydle Eagle on the field and another Graydle. That way you can use this card's effect to trigger Graydle Eagle's effect as well. So you do have ways built in to get off the effects as well. Now for the Kaiju monsters, we have Dogoran, the Mad Flame Kaiju. Now what Dogoran does is you can remove 3 counters from anywhere on the field and destroy all monsters your opponent controls, but this card cannot attack the turn you use this effect. And it's a 3,000 attack point beat stick as well. And just like all the Kaijus, you attribute a monster your opponent controls to special summon it to your opponent's field, and then if your opponent controls a Kaiju, you can special summon it from your hand. All the Kaijus in this deck have that effect, but Dogoran is the one that lets you pretty much Dark or Regeki your opponent's field. Next we have 3 Gameciels. Now Gameciel is really effective in the deck because it's a water attribute Aqua type monster, so even if you use Slime Jr.'s ability, you can still bring out Gameciel. And Gameciel is the one that allows you to remove 2 Kaiju counters from any on the field to negate an effect, or when your opponent activates an effect, except Gameciel you can do that. And you negate the activation if you do destroy it. So Gameciel, not Gameciel, is the effect negator of the deck. And it's a nice little 22-hour beat stick. So if your opponent's got something you can't get over, you can bring Gameciel to their field and then just attack over Gameciel with one of your synchros. For the next Kaiju, we have Komunguus, the Sticky String Kaiju. Now Komunguus is the one that lets you remove, 2 or 3 counters? 2 counters from anywhere on the field when your opponent normal or special summons a monster, and during this turn, that monster can't attack and its effects are negated. So this allows you to get around your opponent from bringing out a boss monster and attacking with it right off the bat. It just slows your opponent down, and it's a really good card. Next up, we of course have the triple instant fusions. Now, a lot of you may be wondering why I'm running triple instant fusions. Well, I'll go into the reason for it later, especially with Norden getting banned on the June 12th, but I'll explain this when I get to the extra deck. And of course, we've got 2 Salvage. What Salvage does is it lets you target 2 water monsters with 1500 or less attack in your graveyard, and you get to add those targets to your hand. The only downside is if you don't have 2 in your graveyard that meets the requirement, you can't activate this. But the majority of the Kaijus, I think Eagle is the only one that doesn't meet the requirement for this. Wait, no, Eagle meets it too, because it's only got 1500 attack. Anyway, alright, next up we have 2 terraformings. You know, adding a field spell from your deck to your hand is always good. We've got 3 Graydle impacts. Now, impact, what it does is you can destroy 1 Graydle card you control to destroy 1 card your opponent controls. And during the end phase, if you did not use this effect, you can add a Graydle card from your deck to your hand. So ideally what you want to do is have Alligator on the field and pop Alligator with this. That way you can destroy one of your opponent's back row and then take control of their monster. Next up, we have Kaiju Waterfront. This, every time a card is sent from the field to the graveyard, it gets a counter. If it has 3 or more counters, you can search your deck for a Kaiju and add it to your hand, and if it will be destroyed, you remove a counter from it. But this is another searcher for the deck, and it also allows you to use your Kaiju effects. Next up, we have 3 Graydle Splits. What Graydle Split does is you target 1 face-up monster you control, equip this card to that target, it gains 500 attack. Then you can use this effect to destroy this card and the card that it's equipped to special summon 2 Graydles from your deck. This is really great. Ideally, you want to target your Cobra with this. That way you can get Cobra's effect off in addition to 2 special summons and then go into a synchro play ideally. And then for the final main deck card, we have Skill Drain. This is a really great tech card for Graydles, especially in this deck, because it doesn't stop the Kaiju effects from activating in hand to special summon to your opponent's field, and it does not stop the Graydle effects from activating in the graveyard. So while your opponent's monsters are sitting on no effects whatsoever, your main deck monsters are still going strong with their effects. Now for the extra deck, we're running 3 Sea Monster of Theseus, and this is where the instant fusion comes in. Now I could have done any fusion summon card because this just requires 2 tuners for these fusion summon, and you know, obviously I can get 2 tuners on the field pretty easily, but instant fusion allows me to bring this out, and with it being a level 5 tuner, it allows me to go into my level 8 synchro plays as well with any of my other main Graydle monsters via Alligator, Cobra, or Eagle. So this is a really great tech card for this deck. For the level 5 synchros, I run 1 Ally of Justice Catastor. Catastor is really great. It's one of the best synchro monsters around, at least in my opinion, because if it attacks a non-dark monster, that monster is automatically destroyed with Catastor's effect, and it does not target the monster, so it gets around targeting effects. And as long as the monster is, like I said, as long as it's not a dark monster, that monster is automatically destroyed. Next up, we have Tech Genesis Hyper Librarian. Now, this is a synchro-based deck, and it can go into level 5 synchros really easily, and level 8s. And it does a lot of synchro summoning, so having a card that lets you draw whenever you synchro summon is a really great card for the deck. For the level 7s, we have Psy Frame Lord Zeta. Now the reason I'm running level 7s is because if I do a level 5 synchro play and then I bring out, let's say, my level 2 tuner and Graydle Slime Jr., I still want an option I can go to if I have to. But Zeta lets you banish a card or banish itself and a card from monster your opponent controls, and then they come back during the next standby phase. It's just a real great way to get over a beater and go in for some quick damage. Next, I've got Odd Eyes Meteor Burst Dragon. This is another great tech because it stops if this is on the field, it stops your opponent from activating cards or effects during the battle phase. So it protects your monsters from things like Storming Mirror Forces, or, you know, pretty much any of the Mirror Force cards essentially. Now for the level 8s, we have Stardust Dragon. Stardust Dragon is one of the great all-time synchros because it allows you to stop destruction effects such as Dark Hole, Regeki, and things like that. Then, of course, we've got our 2 Graydle Dragons. Now, what Graydle Dragon does is when it's synchro summoned, you can target cards your opponent controls up to the number of water monsters used for the synchro summon and destroy them. So you're at least going to get 2 cards destroyed off of this. And sometimes you can even get 3 if you synchro summon it using Graydle Slime Jr. and 2 other monsters. In addition to that, if this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon a Graydle monster from your graveyard, but its effects are negated. So this is really great. So if you can get 2 of these out on the field, and then somebody activates, say, Dark Hole, and they both go to the graveyard, the first one can special summon the second one back, and then the second one can special summon the first one back. So it's a really great way to keep these out on the field. Next up, I've got a Hot Red Dragon Archfiend in the deck. Now this card, if my opponent's got a bunch of big old beaters that are susceptible to destruction effects, I just bring this out and use its effect to field wipe and then go in for a nice little 3k attack. Next up, I've also got 2 Scarlights. Scarlight is in here, similar to Hot Red Dragon Archfiend, destroy special summon monsters on the field other than itself with attack equal to or less than itself, and then it deals 500 damage to your opponent for each monster destroyed. So if your opponent's monsters have 3,000 or less attack and they were special summoned, this can wipe the field and then get you some really good burn damage and then going for a 3k attack. Then I run 2 Aging of the Sea Castrums. This card is so underrated. What this does is during either player's turn, you can banish one random face-up monster from your face-down monster from your opponent's extra deck, and this card gains attack equal to that monster's attack. So this allows you to not only clear out your opponent's extra deck, but it allows you to keep going in for high-level attacks as well. And the secondary ability is during either player's turn, you can detach one material from this card and target one of your opponent's banished, Fusion Synchro, or Xyz monsters and return to the extra deck. And if you do, you can destroy one monster your opponent controls with the same monster type, whether a Fusion Synchro or Xyz. But you can only use the effect once per turn. So this has, again, it has 2 purposes. First of all, it can allow you to clear out your opponent's extra deck really easily, and it gains the attack of the monster it banishes. And then if your opponent does somehow manage to get a monster out that you don't want on the field, and it shares a type, Fusion Synchro Xyz with a monster that you've banished with Castrum, then you can return that monster to the extra deck and destroy the one you don't want on the field. So this card is, like I said, it's real underrated, but is a really great card. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, just make sure you're telling everyone you know about this channel. I love seeing subscribers. I unfortunately did not get my 100 subscriber mark like I was hoping, so I will not be doing the Maximum Crisis Pack giveaway. But until next time, this is Harpy189 and the voices in my head, signing off.
Take a shot at me, running side by side. It's a blur as I go by. I can hear you breathing, I can see you coming, I can feel the wind that's blowing me around. See the sun arising, fire.